What's up, folks? How y'all doing today? So you're catching me on the move today. I've been on the go all morning and got a meet up this afternoon, so I'm on the move. But while I'm on the move, I want to share some thoughts with you all and about something that's really, really, really important with setting the foundation for your relationships, whether they be personal or professional. So when I first started doing this work on using authentic dialogue to help people have thriving relationships and have thriving culture, I started out doing this work for organizations, and I quickly realized that it had applications to my personal relationships, and therefore I realized that it has applications for personal relationships of all of you as well. So that's why I wanted to start doing these videos, and also I started extending, my work to working with couples, families, etc., in addition to groups, organizations, business partners, etc. So with that being said, what I'm about to share with you applies across all contexts when you're in relationships with other people. So, but I'm going to focus more so on the personal side with the examples I give. So basically, one of the things that I teach that is really, really important when being in a relationship with other people and deciding that you want those relationships to thrive, you want to be intentional about making those relationships healthy, is that it's important to set relationship goals and values. And, I find it easy for organizations, groups, etc., to take on that, doing the work of setting goals and values for that relationship, because it's like we're conditioned to think that we should give that level of care when we're starting a business or a mission for organization, etc. But my question, and what I want to ask all of you, is why wouldn't we put that same level of intention and care in our personal relationships as well? Because I personally believe that those relationships are the most important. So if I want to put that extra time and effort into doing that work for a business organization, I damn sure am willing to do it for my personal relationships. And I've made that transition in my life, and I want to encourage all of you to make that transition in your life and make that adjustment in your life as well if you haven't already done so. So with that being said, I often hear people saying, you got to do the work. To have a healthy relationship, you have to do the work. Well, again, the things that I teach and the things that I share will give you some tools that will help you do the work. So let's talk about relationships, relationship goals, and values. So this is so important. This is literally what I call the anchor of your relationship. And I hope you can hear me. If anyone's listening, give me a thumbs up or anything. Let me know this road isn't too loud and you're following. What's up, Lakia? What's up, Yada? Thanks for watching. Thanks for jumping on. I appreciate y'all. So in order to anchor your relationship, it is so important to set these goals and values. And within life is crazy. Life gets busy. Signals get crossed. We perceive things differently than the people we're in relationship with. And oftentimes we can go down a path of being drained when the disagreement arises, or we can go down a path of arguing and getting into power struggles and getting into, trying to win as opposed to thriving, being happy, getting to solutions in the most efficient way as possible. And when you have something to anchor you, when the winds of life try to take you off course, when you have a strong anchor, it'll bring you back and it'll help you be more efficient in resolving the problem, getting to a solution, and getting back to being happy and thriving in your relationship. So when we talk about goals, we're not talking about goals like how much money we want to make, how many properties we want to own, the next car we want to buy, or anything like that when we talk about relationship goals and values. What we're talking about with relationship goals and values is how do you want this relationship to make you feel? How do you want this relationship to make you feel? And how do you want the people you're in a relationship with to feel about you? And how do you want to feel about them? And overall, what is the overall culture, feeling, vibes that you want to cultivate within your relationship. That's your relationship goals, okay? And then there's some values that will feed those goals, and you choose and you work on and you talk through those together. You come up with those together, and again, that will be your anchor. So let me give you an example. I've done this both in my romantic and one of my most recent romantic relationships, as well as with my children. And I'll talk about with my children. So with initially, I'll tell you a little bit about both. But with my children, it's easy for me. My children are 7 and 11. And it's easy for me to rattle off goals and values, but it's not so easy for them. So, I had to try to simplify it by saying things like, how do you want daddy to feel about you? How do you want to feel about daddy? And what my children said, very simply was, good. I want us to feel good about each other. I'm like, cool, we can work with that. And one of the things that I brought to, that discussion is I said, I would like one of our goals to be, to be honest and transparent with one another. And, so that we can trust one another. So I brought honesty, I brought transparency, I brought trust into that conversation. And they brought the whole idea of feeling good. So I said, okay, well, our goal, and we start simple. The goal for our relationship can be to be honest with one another, and the goal is that we have an honest relationship that makes us feel good. So that's how we brought that together as the goal of our relationship, to have an honest relationship that makes us feel good. And then we talked about some values, and again, I kind of named them already, but honesty, transparency. We talked about, honesty, transparency, and I don't have it in front of me. We actually wrote it down. But I believe we talked about unconditional love and things like that as underlying values. And what I explained to them is our goals and our values are our anchor. They're also our accountability to one another. So that when we have a disagreement, our signals get crossed and we're having conversation, the power in having these goals and these values is that we can always point back to those to get us back on course. So let me give you another example before I elaborate on that. So like within one of my romantic relationships, off top I can think about, the values that we set was trust, open communication, bomb-ass sex. Yes, have some fun with it. Be real, be authentic, right? And if bomb-ass sex is a value that you want to be something that anchors you and is an important, part of your relationship, throw that in there. So, that's one of the values, etc. So let me tell you why this is really powerful and where it really comes in handy. So again, you sit down, you go through this exercise with one another, you throw some things out there, you agree on things that everyone consents to, everyone agrees with, everyone feels good about, and those are the things that go down on your piece of paper about what your relationship goals and values are. And then what you do is, again, you go on with your life. And one day or the next time that, you have a disagreement, the next time that your signals get crossed or life gets busy and things get out of sorts and off balance, instead of going again down the path of arguing with no, solution in sight, or throwing insults at one another, or playing the blame game and all these various things, just get anchored with one another. Just, someone say, remember come up with a word or something that said, you could say, let's get anchored. That's a good thing you could say, let's get anchored. Read your relationship goals, read your values, and then you use that to explain what's bothering you. So for example, you could say, right now, I am a little disappointed because I feel like we haven't been communicating openly as in the ways that we agreed to do. And I would like us to get back to open communication so that our signals don't get crossed, or so that we don't get, so out of alignment with one another. You could say something like, with my children, for example, one of the things that I've said to them as a way to anchor us and to highlight, the disconnect is, I'll say, when you talk to your sister that way, it doesn't make me feel good about our relationship and about your relationship with her and about our relationship as a family. And remember, one of the things that we said that we wanted to do is treat each other and be with each other in a way that makes us feel good. So that can lead into, that leads us into a healthy, that opens things up for, again, healthy dialogue where we can be anchored, we can be centered in our goals and values, so that we're using the language of our goals and values instead of using the language of blame and shame. So I'll leave you with that. I hope it makes sense. Please ask questions in the comments if you have any. If this resonated in any way, please share this video. And if you want to see the other videos in this series of videos that I'm doing, just look up the hashtag or click on the hashtag Let's Grow to Lunch. And I talk about these things, in my trainings in more detail, and I have a link to my website if you want more information, etc. But until next time, have a good day. I love y'all. Peace.